ready for the interview. In a few, get a cue live on a laptop. Watch what I'm gonna do. Welcome to the show. Let them know we got a point of view. Hey, yo, let's have a combo. Say what you feel, be real. That's the motto. Real talk, pronto. Dr. D, PhD, hit an intro. Hold up, wait. Gotta be social. Network global, a home for the local. Gotta be social. Network global, a home for the local.
Boom.
Boom.
Boom. Simon, it's an over-the-top type of conversation today.
Now, I told you I had some anecdotes for this.
You did.
And I wasn't joking, unfortunately, for you.
I believe you. I definitely
Well, let's start from the top. Before we go over the top, let's introduce this movie to those who, because I told you I went and did that photo shoot, and that's why we had to reschedule. And I asked the person that I was photographing if they'd ever heard of Over the Top. No, never heard of it. Never heard of it. Now, granted, they're about 10, 15 years younger than you and I.
Okay.
So at what age should people stop knowing about Over the Top?
Maybe our age.
So for those who don't know, Over the Top is it's Sylvester Stallone. And what year was it? Do you know?
I don't remember the year. No, I didn't look up the year.
It's got to be late 80s, right?
Yeah.
Maybe early 90s.
Sly was hitting his stride. It was a different movie for Sly, actually, but kind of similar, but different.
So it's a sports movie. It's a sports movie. So it's got, some stuff for Rocky. 1987. That's what we're looking at for Over the Top.
87. Not a lot of things in 87, I remember, honestly.
So, yeah, I'm 10 years old when Over the Top comes out. So my 10-year-old self says, this is a good film.
Yes. He's a trucker.
So is that what were 10-year-olds? Were they the target audience for this movie?
It must be, because we liked it back then.
Yeah. I can't imagine an adult actually, other than to laugh at it.
Yes.
I can't imagine an adult going into this movie and going, man, what a great movie. What a stunning performance by everyone all around.
No.
No.
In fact, I was watching it not that long ago, and I was like, I didn't mean to watch it. Like, it was on. I was like, oh, yeah. Over the Top. And I just remember the part where the big dude is like, get in here.
Yeah.
Sweating profusely. His eyes are get in here.
Yeah, he definitely looked like he had taken, like the smelling salts and stuff, the stuff that guys get, power lifters and stuff get hyped up with, They were all definitely jacked up on some kind of energy stuff,
Jacked up on some stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So the premise, for those who don't know, Sylvester Stallone is a truck driver, and he's the quintessential truck driver. Every truck driver looks like Sylvester Stallone in 1987.
Just ripped.
They all have a cable curl machine in the truck so that they can work out their arm wrestling rotations while they're driving. This is just standard truck driver fare.
Standard.
They all wake up first thing in the morning and do some calisthenics, which we see Sylvester Stallone's character and his son doing. And that is the premise of the movie. The premise of the movie is a road trip with Dad. And Dad has not been in the picture. But Mom is dying. I don't remember if they ever specify what she's dying of. Do you remember
that? No.
Must be some kind of cancer, something that's going slow.
Very slow.
And her kind of dying wish almost, although I don't think they call it that, but she's kind of calling Sylvester Stallone from the hospital and is encouraging him to, take this trip So he's picked up his son from like the military boarding school.
I know, right?
Right. And I will say for this movie, they do a really great thing right off the top of character building. And I always enjoy this. And I think even some of the lamest 1980 movies do a good job of this, where I feel like a lot of movies today don't do a great job. And that is, they have a little graduation ceremony. All the kids cheer and throw their hats in the air, except for Sylvester Stallone's son, yes, who just calmly holds his hat and observes the silliness of everyone around him, yes, silently. They have that really cheesy song going on over the top. I
love the soundtrack.
Oh man, I only remember one line from that song. I meant to watch this again for this, but then I thought, I actually remember this film so well, I don't need to watch it again.
No.
But I don't remember the lyrics to that song except for one line, and it's, "'Cause in this country," and it's like a man can be what he wants to be, or something like that. You know, it's like this inspiring Americana rock song. You know?
Yeah. I love it. It was some Kenny Loggins action. You know, it's like,
man, yeah. I mean, I will say it's pretty good. So it's a little bit. Do you remember The Wizard?
Yes,
Fred Savage.
I used to love that movie. We may have to talk about that movie at some point. It's pretty good.
It's got the same kind of flavor, as that one, which is really funny because The Wizard is just a Nintendo commercial. It's like a 90-minute Nintendo commercial,
for sure.
But it's actually got some real heart and soul to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, some real love and care that goes.
It's true.
And I do feel like in this movie, over the top, it's a bad movie. Don't get me wrong. The Wizard,
it's a bad movie.
Also a bad movie. These are bad movies. These are not good movies.
Get it? Arbiters of Bad Taste, guys.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is, despite being bad movies, there feels like there's a lot of love and care that went into the making of these movies. Whereas I feel like today, when we talk about bad movies, we're talking about the lack of love and care that has gone into the filmmaking process. And here in these movies, they took what is a bad idea and they loved it.
Yeah.
They loved it. Like, the filmmakers just seemed to, like, they had this really dumb, stupid idea, and then they just loved the hell out of it.
They did, man. They did. And you think about like father-son story, and this actually, I know this sounds weird coming from us about this, but it's like, imagine you watched your dad arm wrestle a bunch of dudes. Right. And
you'd be so proud of him.
You'd be so pumped up. If I saw my dad arm wrestling that big, gigantic dude and he won, I would like, it's like your children seeing you accomplish something. No matter how dumb it seems, it's just like he's there cheering on his dad. It's like, when do you get to cheer on your dad?
Yeah.
Like that, you know? There's something kind of cool about that.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And so, and they have the really cheesy, bad dynamic between Sylvester Stallone's father-in-law. There's the bad blood. Apparently he's what drove he and his wife apart. Like, and they're never too specific with these things, but it's just implied. And I actually feel like it's better for that.
Right. Yeah.
A movie I watched very recently, which is another movie that we should talk about in great detail, is actually Conan the Barbarian.
I just watched it 2 days ago.
Man.
Literally just watched it.
We need to go back to that one, but I bring it up just to say that movie ages better and better every time I watch it. And I don't watch it very often. 5 years can go by, 10 years can go by, and then I watch it again. I'm like, this movie's better now than the last time I watched it.
Yeah. It's a long movie too, actually, man. It's like,
it's a long,
it's
epic.
Really long.
People think Arnold Schwarzenegger, swords and sorcery, it's gonna be, and also what ruins Conan the Barbarian is that they made Conan the Destroyer, which is nothing to do with Conan the Barbarian.
It's true.
You might as well have just changed all the names and said it's a totally different story about totally different characters, because the Conan from Conan the Barbarian, he's not there in Conan the Destroyer. He's not there. No. It's not the same kind of storytelling at all. But the storytelling in Conan the Barbarian, I bring it up because they just do things.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, no, it does.
They just do. And there's not a lot of time about like, oh, I'm this and I'm that.
Yeah.
And this character's this and this character's that. You might have one line of exposition type dialogue to introduce this or that or the other. And there is a narrator to the whole film, Conan the Barbarian.
Right. That's right.
But even he doesn't go into great detail about anything. You just go into this world and they build the world so well that you don't need any explanations.
Yeah.
When's the last time you watched a movie in the last that came out that was made in the last 10 to 20 years where it was done so well, like a popular movie, you know, that it was done so well that they didn't feel like they had to keep on throwing in all this exposition, or even where they had entire characters whose sole purpose is exposition. Even really great movies, if you think, Inception.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Me too, man.
There's one character in there, Ariadne is what her characters. I'm blanking on the actress's name, but her only purpose in that movie is for exposition, is so people can explain things to her and therefore explain things to us.
Right.
Christopher Nolan, I'm not faulting him. He's a great filmmaker. He's a different kind of filmmaker than, you know, the guys who did Conan the Barbarian. It's a different story. But what I'm trying to say is that Conan the Barbarian is telling, I feel like, just as complex of a narrative, but without anybody having to sit around tell and explain things to you. It's like, no, we just go in and do things and boom, done.
Yeah, totally true.
And the whole movie is almost kind of based on a philosophical argument.
That's true.
You think it's an action movie, and it is a sword and sorcery movie, but it's really about a philosophical argument between two sides.
Yeah.
Not quite what we get in Over the Top.
No, this isn't some religious idolatry about a guy who turns into a snake. And Crumb, but it is it is really an interesting human story about relationships.
It is.
It's interesting.
And like I say, Over the Top, it's not interesting. All right, let's just get this out of the way. Over the Top is not an interesting movie. It's a movie about a truck driver who's trying to win a competitive arm wrestling match because he wants to win the first prize, which is a new truck.
Right.
And he, like we said, he's a trucker and he just wants the truck. And apparently he's an independent contractor trucker and he just wants this new truck. I can't imagine any scenario of any type of sport competition in which an 18-wheeler is the grand prize.
I know. Who wants that? Come on. Sly wants it. You know what he wants? He wants to like deck out the gym in his truck. He wants to get, some more internal, external rotation.
He wants that sleeper cab so he can do some core work. And he can do,
Right. These are the important things.
He can fit in a whole Bowflex in the back. That's
right.
What he wants.
The sun part is a secondary deal.
Yeah.
So it's kind of,
There is some real drama in the film.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen this 40-year-old movie. 35-year-old, sorry, pardon me. 35-year-old movie. But the mother dies. And it's actually a pretty emotional scene. Even in dumb movies can have, and that's what I mean about heart, like somebody loved this movie.
Yeah. Somebody
really cared about the craft of filmmaking, even making this.
Simon. Well, they, like you said, they loved it. They loved up on it. And I don't know, this is the great thing about reviewing movies as a 45-year-old person from a 10-year-old's perspective and watching. It's like, I loved it when I was like that old. I watched that movie so many times when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
Like
rented
so
it with
many
my
times.
friends,
Yeah,
and we would arm wrestle afterwards.
That's right.
I mean, the whole deal.
Right? I mean, there's nothing more quintessential than 10-year-old boy watching people arm wrestle and like, let's get in there now.
Let's do it. Like, get in here.
Get in here. And the close-up, I love that they did the close-ups. And it was like Sly is like, and the other guy's like, and he's sweating profusely. And it's like a Vegas lights thing. And I was like, oh my God, this must be the best place ever to be. It's like,
you got to say, you have to admit that as an actor, very few people like demonstrate pushing your body to the limit the way Sly Stallone does in like the faces he makes and the sounds he makes and everything. You got to say, I mean, give him props as an actor for just going for it, because most of us would really hold back and try to look cool. He doesn't look cool. He's like, he's making like the blues guitarist face, you know what I mean? When they're hitting, when they're bending a note.
Yeah, the stanky faces and
exactly. Yeah,
just sweating profuse. I just remember so much sweat, just so much sweat. And like when they would interview the guys, I used to love the little interviews they did in the movie.
Yeah,
and that was the best.
There was a guy who drinks the motor oil. And then you see him later taking like Alka-Seltzer or something. He's like trying to be cool. I'm drinking motor oil, blah, blah, blah. And then later you see he's totally sick from it.
Exactly. Oh, so, man.
Those are fun little things that they do. And you're right. Like those little interviews and stuff.
Great.
It really kind of makes the whole competition at the end. Because let's face it, arm wrestling isn't that exciting to watch over and over.
No.
You know, so when they came up with the idea of those interviews, they made it almost like pro wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you get to know these arm wrestlers that you don't know. They're not in the film until the very end, you know, most of these guys. And so anyway, yeah, it's great. And then, you know, the cheesiest, lamest whole part of those interviews or whatever is Sylvester Stallone's hat. It's like a switch. I turn it around. It's like a switch, and then I'm ready to go.
It's always you got a good impression there, man. I'll tell you. It turns, and I used to do that. With my hat, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm serious now."
Yeah.
Now I'm serious. I'm wearing my hat backwards.
Now that I look like the paper boy, I'm serious about arm wrestling. Here we go.
And then they try to throw like he's in the tournament. And the father-in-law thing, you know, he tried to give him money to like, just get out of here, you know, just try to buy him off, you know, and Sly has integrity. He's like,
he's going to make his own way.
That's right.
You know, he doesn't need his father-in-law's help. Yeah. So, man, what a funny movie. There's two, what you could call maybe action scenes.
Yeah.
The father-in-law, he's trying to kidnap his grandson away from Sylvester Stallone. So he has like some bounty hunters or whatever who've gone out. And there's like one or two little short car chase scene things, you know, where he has to get him back from the would-be kidnappers. And then there's one scene where he's going to see his father-in-law, and his father-in-law like has a bodyguard.
Yeah.
What kind of business is his father-in-law in where he needs a 6'6" monster bodyguard? The only reason for this bodyguard there is so Sylvester Stallone's character can punch him through the window.
Yes.
There's no reason. They've never defined what the father-in-law does for a living.
No.
Why he would need any kind of security whatsoever. You know, so anyway, it's just so funny that it's like, yeah, he's got a bodyguard there for this one purpose.
Yes.
For Sylvester Stallone to throw him through the window.
Your job is to let Sly make him look really good in this part. I mean, come on.
So I love stuntmen, and I love thinking about those scenes where it's like that stuntman, you know, that security guard, he's just a stuntman. He's not like an actor. He's a stuntman who just comes in and he's being hired to get thrown through this window. And it's it feels like a really simple scene, but everything that goes into that scene and how dangerous the scene is potentially is for the stuntman, and even for Sylvester Stallone, he could possibly get cut up because you are going through real glass most of the time. A lot of people think it's all fake, but no, most of these guys are going through real glass, and they use tiny explosives to pop the glass just before the person goes through. And if they don't do that in the right time or in the right way, and if the person doesn't actually go through the window, instead of if they just like fall into the window or whatever, bad things can happen.
Sure.
So anyway, even in that scene, that such a dumb, stupid scene, once again, it's like a whole lot of thought preparation has to go into, hey, let's have Sylvester Stallone punch a guy through a window. Why? I don't know. Just because. Just because.
It's a Sly movie. I mean, come on. It's like, this is what happens during Sly movies. Come on.
Do you feel like they had to do something like that because you can't have a Sylvester Stallone movie where he doesn't punch a guy?
No, he has to. It's that time in his career where, he's doing, this is the Rocky phase, all this stuff, man. He has to do something. He can't be overly emotional in these movies in a Sly way that he's emotional.
Yeah.
It's like,
I just think it's so I was thinking about movies that came out that are kind of like this. So I mean, not kind of like this in the same way, but basically it's action heroes who take on kid companions.
Yeah.
And this is a theme that goes on. We've got Last Action Hero.
Yep.
We've got Terminator 2. You've got even that Chuck Norris. Do you remember the Chuck Norris film Sidekick? Sidekicks
yes, I remember that. Yes. Wow.
So Sidekicks and Last Action Hero, for all intents and purposes, are the same movie.
Yes.
They have different themes and everything, but they're both about a kid's hero. Basically, they're their imaginary friend, and then they become real, and sometimes I wonder, like Sylvester Stallone, Last Action Hero, I actually just watched that recently.
Me too. What are we doing that you and I are just watching all these old movies?
I don't know why we're watching these movies.
What are we doing?
I watched Last Action Hero kind of like what you said about Conan, kind of on accident.
It was just an accident. Yeah.
I actually, because I was curious, sometimes when I'm scrolling through, I'm curious about what they say about them, how they describe the movie. There's one movie that I scrolled through. It was a Van Damme movie that's only a couple years old.
Yeah.
But they don't say a thing about the plot in the movie or in the description. And that tells you everything that you need to know. Man. All it says something like expect the splits, and it's like kind of a tongue-in-cheek description because it's a Van Damme movie. It tells you to expect some explosions and the splits and some kicking.
Yeah, for sure.
That was the description.
The spin kick, for sure.
They don't tell you anything about the plot synopsis whatsoever. I thought it was amazing.
We're just watching all these movies, man. It's weird. It's like we've got the hive mind going. I'm almost kind of thinking, I'm like, I need to have this in my back pocket when I talk to Simon. Bring this stuff up. Next, I'm thinking I need to go and rewatch Delta Force with Chuck Norris.
Oh, man. My dad loved that movie, so I saw it when I was growing up.
Man, me too. I loved it growing up. Oh, yeah. But it's kind of weird with the hijackers and stuff. It's like, hey,
yeah. My favorite scene in that whole movie was the priest.
Yeah.
When he sat next to the Jew.
Yes.
Because the hijackers were anti-Jewish, and they told the priest he didn't have to be up there with the Jewish captives, and he said Jesus was a Jew. So and I thought that was once again, it's like these little things in these old 80s movies. It's like these little touches. Yeah. I mean, that priest is not like a big character in the movie or anything, but there's just this moment of somebody just doing the right thing, somebody standing with somebody else and saying we're all the same.
Isn't that amazing? These it's easy to overlook those parts in these movies from these decades because it seems like everything else is about the explosions, the fighting, but they sneak it in there. And if you pay attention, you're like, oh, that was thoughtful,
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's, once again, I don't want to keep harping on the new movies and whatever, but I just, once again, over and over again, I just think about it. I think about, like, we get Easter eggs today, in movies instead of like thoughtful moments.
Yeah.
I mean, heaven forbid we watch a Chuck Norris movie and we have a thoughtful moment,
I know. I mean, come on.
And I just feel like they're and it's not, we're making blanket statements here, and there's plenty of movies that are made today and in this age that have really thought-provoking things in them.
Right.
But I don't feel like a lot of the action ones really do.
I think they just cater to, they're basically a Fast and the Furious type of thing,
Yeah.
It's just like, hey,
family. Family.
By the same guy who was in the pacifier. Can he jump his car through a plane into a ravine and still be alive? That's really just what you want to see, isn't it? Anyways.
Yeah. One of my kids said, their friends wanted to see the new one that's just come out in theaters, and
it looks ridiculous. I mean, it looks so ridiculous.
I mean, so I sat there and watched the preview for it, the trailer, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I mean, Jason Momoa was lowering himself to. I'm like, really? This is a money grab.
I mean, it's paychecks. It's paychecks.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And you know what? If somebody asked me to be in one, I'm there.
Simon,
I'm all in.
Are you serious?
Oh, absolutely.
No, the movie would never even get out of the movie like set. There's no way you would have it burned down. This is not serious work, guys.
No. I would give it 110%, and I would take that paycheck all the way to the bank. I'm telling you that I have a lot of high ideals, but I'm also a sellout. Easy.
But in your trailer, you would be talking so much shit about the movie, how bad it was. Yeah. Imagine you and I were on set this movie, okay? Yeah. We're like, we'll both take the $20 million for sure. We're not idiots.
Absolutely.
But in the trailer, we would be trashing the movie completely.
Like, no doubt. We'd just be sitting in there. It's like, what is going on?
Why are we doing this?
Who are we?
I know why we're doing it.
Yeah, money. Lots and lots of money.
Lots of money, but it's a terrible script.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I've heard about some of these filmmakers who, when they invite somebody to do a film, they're just like, hey, you want to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like Sylvester Stallone, when he was doing the Expendables movies, like calling guys up. It's like, hey, you want to make a lot of money? Because we're going to go pretty cheap on the special effects. They're not going to be very
Snipes, good. You probably need the money. Get over here.
Yeah.
The IRS has been after your ass for years.
You have taxes you need to pay. So, I mean, and as an actor, you don't know when your next job is coming.
Right.
So I never have a problem with actors and directors taking jobs. I just don't. Yeah. I have a problem with movie houses greenlighting the wrong projects. That's what I have a problem with. These movie making machines, and they're greenlighting terrible projects instead of doing something that could be cool.
Totally agree. But Simon, if it's like community theater or free, Simon's ripping it apart. He doesn't care. He's gonna destroy the production.
I still support people individually. I just, sometimes the finished product is really, really lacking.
And he'll let you know about it.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely will. I'll let you know if something I do is bad. I've told you when I don't like things that I've done.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not immune from this criticism. I know when I'm doing something bad and it doesn't get finished or released normally because I'm just like, no, this is bad.
Yeah.
So that's the filter that we should have as creators,
Yeah.
is be able to say, oh, you know what I'm doing right now it's not good. I should stop this and do something different.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the test for you. since I'm going to trigger you with the whole Star Wars thing, because I know how much you would you be in that? Would you have been in those movies if they paid you a lot of money? No matter what, Simon.
All right. So here's the thing. I don't think most people get the whole script or even a script at all when they get to
Okay.
it. I really don't.
Okay.
So yes, absolutely. I would have been in those movies, and I would have felt like Mark Hamill when he finally actually got to read the script, and I would have felt completely betrayed. And that's how it would have gone down.
That's how it would have gone down.
And then, like Mark Hamill, I would have been a professional and said, okay, I'm doing this because this is the job I'm hired to do, but I don't agree with what's happening. And Mark Hamill was so tasteful, and he said it. He said it straight to the interviewers. He said, I did not agree with this version, this take of Luke Skywalker. This isn't Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
But Rian Johnson, that director, he seems to really get people to have faith in him. I don't know what it is about him. Maybe he has some kind of subtle charisma to him.
Right.
But I don't think his track record as a filmmaker lives up to whatever the people. His portfolio would not make me want to hire him as a director. Let's just put it that way.
There's something else there. There's got to be something else there.
I mean, I just feel like all of his movies, even the ones that I've enjoyed, like the first Knives Out movie, I enjoyed it. But even in enjoying it, I saw, right through it, and that it's so fundamentally flawed in so many ways. So as to, make me think, well, I mean, it was almost good, but I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed it, even though it wasn't quite a good movie.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know how he does it, but if you get the right cast and crew, that's part of what pulls the wool over people's eyes. When you get the right actors to deliver the lines and to get you, through the scenes and stuff, sometimes you forget how bad the scenes are, or I don't want to say the word bad. Let me just say illogical or obvious or things like that. It's like, okay, well, that's what he did in both of those Knives Out movies is he put a killer cast together. He really did.
That's right.
And that cast is completely wasted in that second movie.
I know, man.
But in the first movie, at least the cast is utilized well.
Right.
Everybody in that cast actually has some good stuff to do.
Yeah.
And they actually, they're not complete and utter morons.
I have a new spinoff for you. Here's the new spinoff.
Ready.
It involves you and me.
All right. Okay.
You're Obi-Wan. I'm Mace Windu. Okay.
I love this.
And we're in space.
Is this a buddy Jedi movie?
Yeah, we're the new intergalactic police force, Jedi force. And I think it's it could be one of the better movies they put out. I'm telling you, man.
See, and you just let Samuel L. Jackson loose on that, or you just let yourself loose on it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, gosh, yeah. I mean,
pretty good movie, man. We use the Force in a different way. We don't
because we got imaginations and no scruples.
No, we just, it's a whole different movie. We're not idealistic. We're not even trying to go to the Jedi Temple. We're like,
yeah,
there's other places to go, man. It's
I mean, that is once again okay. Let's go back to these movies we were talking about, Over the Top, Last Action Hero.
Yeah,
these movies that, I don't know. They just had this theme of action hero with a kid.
Yes.
So I guess in our version, you're the action hero. I'm the kid.
Is this real life?
Well, yeah. It's a bit of both. It's true to life. It's true to life. But you're the older, wiser Mace Windu, and I'm the younger Obi-Wan. And but yeah, I mean, even in the Star Wars, you have those dynamics, right? You have somebody like an Obi-Wan Kenobi training a Luke Skywalker, or you have an Obi-Wan Kenobi training a Anakin Skywalker. You have that kind of, hero and younger person. And anyway, so it's a popular trope. Let's just put it that way. But I don't know why it became popular. Can you compare Last Action Hero to any other Arnold action movie? It's not as good.
Of course.
So why did we feel the need as a society to start putting 12-year-olds alongside the biggest action stars of the time?
No, not sure.
Yeah. Indiana Jones had Short Round.
Yeah, Short Round. That's right.
Who I will say as a character was not nearly as annoying and a lot more useful than these other characters from other movies, other kid characters. I don't know. I don't know what happened kind of mid 80s where up until the early 90s roundabouts, where we had the biggest action stars of the era teaming up with teens and preteens. I just don't know what's going on.
I just think it was a big time for like kids. Like for some reason, it was a very kid-centric time with like Goonies and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
You had Corey Hart, Corey Haim. You had all these movies, that were like very teenage. And there were a lot of stars that were kids in the 80s who are now like, Sean Astin was a big kid guy back then. It's like, I think there's just like, there's a lot of kid star power in the 80s.
Do you think they were trying to take the two? It's like most of the movies Arnold and Stallone were in were R-rated movies. So it's like, well, these kids can't really go, unless their parents take them. And, and then people are frowning at the parents for taking them to an R-rated movie.
What are you doing in here? Watching a movie.
But we got kind of frowned upon because I took my kids to Tombstone, screening of Tombstone.
Oh, really? Nice.
That's so good.
So good.
And my kids loved it. I was just like, so what did you think? They didn't know what to expect. And like most kids, if you tell them it's a Western, they don't care about cowboys. No kid cares about cowboys anymore. No. They think it's going to be really boring,
Right.
It's like, but they watch, it's like, oh, because what is it? It's a movie about characters. It's not about cowboys. It's about characters. Yes. So, but anyway, I just thought that was really interesting that we go through this phase of action heroes and I got to say, I think it's all about the box office because they're just trying to get more kids into the theaters who, kids, they want to watch these movies and they have to like sneak, to watch them and stuff. Most of the kids do anyway. And so anyway, I thought that was interesting, but so it's just a big cash grab. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think so.
Cash grab.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you want to kind of almost merge these two big draws. Say, well, we want an Arnold movie, but man, people love these kids movies too. Well, Arnold could probably be kind of funny, and he is kind of funny when he's Sly. To me, is not funny ever with kids and stuff. Like he's just kind of he doesn't have that juice, It's like
I don't think Sly has the comedy gene. No. Although when he's Rocky, somehow he pulls it off. He's actually pretty funny as Rocky,
right?
But when he tries to do something that is of a more sophisticated, let's just say nature, where he has to be a little more well-spoken, then he's not good at that comedy. He's not.
You mean you didn't like Stop Where My Mom Will Shoot?
Oh, and I didn't like Oscar.
Oscar,
remember Oscar?
Yeah,
okay,
it's not good.
Right, those two movies we just listed off. Even my younger self knew they were bad.
Me too.
I don't even think I got through Stop Where My Mom Will Shoot. I don't think I ever finished that movie. Even as a young kid, I was like, no, this is really bad.
I saw the preview in a movie theater when I was younger. I remember this like yesterday. I was in the movie theaters with my brother and it came on and we both looked at each other. I said, this is a stupid movie. It's like I can't believe we're probably going to watch this. It looks really bad though.
Oh, it's so bad. And that did the opposite. It took a 90-year-old woman and brought it with us. It's like, we went young. Now let's go completely to the other side of the dial. Which I gotta say, also, even my younger self was fooled by trailers because, all right, I actually love the Golden Girls.
Me too.
And she was in the Golden Girls.
Getty, yes.
Yeah. So when I saw that Sylvester Stallone was teaming up with one of the Golden Girls, I'm like, hey, I'm in. I go to watch this movie. We didn't even see it in the theater. We rented it when it came. It didn't last in the theater very long. It was probably out of the theater in a week. So we rented it from the local movie store, and I don't think I finished it. I don't think I ever finished it.
It's as bad as you think it was.
I have no remembrance of that movie. Well, I remember scenes of that movie, but I don't remember what other than his mother comes to stay with him or whatever, which it can't be his mother. It's gotta be his grandmother. I mean, but it is his mother, but it's like your mother would be like 60. This woman's like 80.
I know.
When did she have you when she was 60? What I mean, were you a miracle?
It was not even necessary for him to even make this movie. It was not, there was like no reason at all for him to even make this movie. I just think he wanted to
do comedies. Arnold successfully merged comedy and action.
Yeah.
Which was only slightly new to the United States to have a big action star doing success. But Clint Eastwood tried to do comedy back in the day.
True.
Burt Reynolds did comedy.
Yeah.
His movies were more kind of action comedy most of the time. So it wasn't like a big thing. But for somebody like an Arnold to do comedy, like he hadn't really seen that. And then it was like, oh, wow. And to do it so well, like a Kindergarten Cop. I mean, that's such a good action comedy.
So good.
And it's very little action. It's mostly comedy. It's so good. And then you have the Junior, you got to throw that one out.
Yeah, you got to throw it
out. You got to bomb here and there. And
that movie would get crushed today by weird political stuff, man.
Oh gosh,
get crushed.
So many of those old movies would. So many movies would just get crushed today. One of my kids recently asked me if the Dukes of Hazzard, the original TV show, if it was any good. And I was like, well, it is not politically correct. They drive around with in a car called the General Lee, and it has, the Confederate flag. It feel like they were
trying to be like weird though about it. It's like,
that's the thing I was telling him. I was like, but it was a different time, and there's zero racism in it.
Yeah.
There's zero championing the antebellum South.
Right.
These are just some, cliche Southern moonshining,
just some
moonshiners,
good old boys.
Never doing no harm. And the funny thing about them is that they're like college educated, football star physique, good old boys. I mean, come down to the South, guys. That's not what they're like.
This ain't it. This ain't real life.
And they don't talk like that. I mean, the Duke boy brothers barely had Southern accents.
I know.
I mean,
these movies now would just be cast as like over the top. Sly would be a progressive, and the guy he beats would be like a MAGA guy.
Yeah. It would be.
They just put it. That's how they would. Instead of when we were watching and we were growing up, this wasn't even a thought. It was like, wow, this is a great matchup between this really big guy and the smaller guy, and the intensity. I mean, we weren't thinking
zero
about that
agenda. And I think Clint Eastwood said it best actually when he was being asked about directing and stuff, and how he directs a movie because his movies, especially the ones that get like the Oscar contender movies, they have strong messages in them, if that's what you want to call it. But he's like, the story comes first. It's like, you don't worry about the message, because if you tell the story, the message is there, and you don't have to worry about, am I sending the right message, or am I sending a message at all? You just tell a story. And movies like $1 Million Baby, Unforgiven,
that's right.
These are movies that are perfect examples of that, where he just tells a story. He doesn't tell you what to think about it. He doesn't tell you who's right, who's wrong. He just tells a story, and you're left to ponder that for yourself.
Right.
And wouldn't the world be so much better if that's what we got in filmmaking
We're not
more often?
We're not getting that.
Or TV shows and stuff like that. I mean, did you ever watch Law and Order when it was on?
Oh, yeah.
Once in a while, we would watch a Law and Order SVU or S.
Oh, I've watched so much of that. So much of that in my life.
Well, I just had a crush on Mariska Hargitay.
Oh, yeah. Me too, man.
Yeah, I had a big crush on her, so I'd watch it just to watch her.
So shallow, Simon.
Yeah, I know. I don't care about anything else.
Me too, guys. All right.
But there's always those moments in those episodes where they just tell you exactly what you should think about whatever political thing that they're kind of dealing with in the episode, and it's so unnatural, the way it even comes up and the way the characters have to say the lines and everything. Is like, oh my gosh, you guys couldn't have a conversation about it. They're not having a conversation. It's posed as a conversation, but it's just people making statements, and that's not a conversation.
No,
because there's nobody there's nobody giving the opposite opinion. There's no pushback to anybody's opinion. It's just, well, this is how it is, blah blah blah, and this is blah blah blah, and everybody's like, yep, yep,
yeah.
So to your point, in that over the top scenario where it's the guy on the other side is wearing his MAGA hat forward, and Arnold and Sylvester Stallone as his anyway, there would be no we would not feel any humanity for the MAGA guy.
No.
And we would not be told, anything about his story, just like in Over the Top.
Right.
But there's no political agenda there. There's no political messaging there. But when we're doing political messaging, there's no nuance. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yes.
There's zero nuance to it. And as much as I don't like sometimes to hear people who are speaking out against woke media, because I'm not anti-woke, I'm just anti-bad storytelling. That's all I am.
I know it, man.
cast as diverse as possible.
Sure.
Tell stories about diverse people, all about equity, all about all these things. But if your story sucks and your movie sucks, I'm not going to watch it.
I'm not going to watch it either.
I don't care how great the message is. It just doesn't matter.
The story matters the most. Exactly. And I think also I just popped in my mind. I was like, man, imagine Tu Wong Fu coming out now, or Ang Lee's Brokeback Mountain, right? The rage would be unbelievable right now. And I think some of that is the reason why we're maybe not getting these quality of movies sometimes too, is that there's a blowback, and maybe some directors are like, I just don't want to deal with this, or I don't know. It's just a thought,
Well, there's so many. I listen to a lot of film reviews just as I'm doing stuff throughout the day. I really enjoy. I enjoy people who are thoughtful about it. And even people who I disagree with. One of them, his name is like the Critical Drinker or something like that.
Okay.
And he kind of puts on a character. He's like Scottish or British or something, and he's just kind of like a non-woke kind of guy, and he doesn't like the woke messaging, and he doesn't like seeing, the moment he sees like an all-female cast, he's out, kind of a deal, which I don't agree with. I think is wrong. However, I can't disagree when he starts talking about how bad the movies are.
Right. No, they're bad.
Yeah. I mean, you should be able to make great movies with an all-female cast or a mostly female cast. And we've seen it done before. I was just talking to a friend yesterday about Steel Magnolias. It's an amazing movie. Mostly all female, all the lead characters are female. Right. It's an amazing film. You can make that today. You can make it with superheroes. You can make it, whatever. You can have an all-female. But unfortunately, because of the political messaging that we've been talking about, we don't get a good story. We don't get good characters. We get Mary Sue's.
We do get Mary Sue's.
Yeah.
We do get Mary. There's one statement you made that's probably false. Is you were talking to your friend the other day. I thought I was your only friend.
True.
I mean, what are you talking about?
I was talking to an acquaintance.
How dare you make up these other people in your life? Not me, you bastard.
That is seriously a joke that we have around here, because I just don't hang out with anybody really. I'll talk to people on the phone. I don't call anybody and say let's hang out. That's just 0% of the time am I contacting somebody and saying let's do something, unless it's like another couple and like Shannon and I are going to hang out with them together, maybe. And even then, so rare,
Simon, listen, Shannon, she warned me because she's coming on the podcast pretty soon.
Right. Yeah.
And she texts me and she was like, I swear you better not talk about 80s movies to me ever. And this, or I will not do this. I was like, I wasn't even thinking about it.
Oh man. She wants to listen to our podcast, but she's like, but I don't care about these movies. So I was like,
but it's bigger than the movies. Come on.
That's what I keep telling her. It's like, well, you have to listen to us talk about these movies so you can hear us talk about bigger things. Because that's what the movies are meant to do. They're meant to talk about bigger things. Even the dumb ones that we talk about, like Over the Top, it's meant to tell a story about a father and son and family dynamics, and a father who is, he hasn't been a good father and he wants to be a good father now.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the story.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a good story. Last Action Hero. It's about a guy who finds out his entire life is a lie.
Right.
But this kid has faith in him when they're in the movie, but when they're out of the movie and in real life, he has no faith in him.
Yeah.
And it's actually, it's kind of a great idea where he's actually trying to earn the faith and respect of this kid in the real world.
In the real world. Yeah.
Sometimes that's because it's kind of, it's, I don't want to say it's totally nuanced, but it's not they don't try to drive that narrative home. They're too, in a movie like Last Action Hero, they're too busy having fun.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes they have fun to the detriment of the movie. And sometimes they're having fun the way that the whole purpose of that movie is to make fun of action movies.
That's right.
It's Arnold making fun of himself. It's his most meta movie, which he does a lot of meta stuff. I mean, let's face it, we're always cognizant that he is Arnold in a movie.
Of course. I'm watching his documentary on Netflix when it comes out next month, man. I'm like, I'm all over that, man. But even think about like Captain America's Civil War, right? We talked about that. It's a movie that has a lot of heart about choosing between this person and choosing between friends. I mean, that's actually really powerful.
It is really powerful.
So Shannon, it's not stupid, okay?
Yeah, we're not as dumb as people say.
She thinks we're like two 10-year-old boys when you're talking about it.
I know, just reminiscing about these movies we love. And I think sometimes Shannon is also not somebody to rewatch a movie.
Okay.
She just doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So for people like you and I, we will rewatch a movie even when it's bad.
Oh, I still do it.
Yeah.
It's the whole premise of this show.
Exactly. That's the whole thing, where it's like, I will take 2 hours of my day or my night and I will watch this bad movie. And sometimes I don't know why I'm doing it.
Yeah. It just
happens.
Sometimes
I don't know why. And it's kind of an existential crisis, But I will say, like, I learn something every time I watch one of these movies we talk about. And sometimes when it's like a movie like Over the Top, I learn about how much love and care can go into a movie, even when it's not very good. And I feel like when somebody puts love and care into something, even when it's not very good, it comes through.
It does.
Like you see it and you feel it. You feel the love and care that goes into something.
Yeah.
And, whether it's like woke messaging or whether it's too many like special effects or whatever it might be, I feel like, and I don't want to insult any of the directors and actors making these movies today, but I feel like the love and care gets lost.
Yeah.
It gets distracted from, because they might have a lot of love and care that's going into it, but then we don't see it because it was all done on a green screen.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Totally agree, man. Dude, we got to talk about Conan the Barbarian maybe soon. I mean, it's top of mind for me right now, man. It's
that movie. I'm just like, holy cow! I mean, when I watched that just the other day, I was blown. I'm going to be honest with you, because it had been probably about 5 years since I've seen it last, at least.
Everybody's like, 5 years? Hasn't it been like 15 to 20?
Yeah.
No, not here, guys.
No, because these are movies worth going back to.
Yes.
Conan, I was literally blown away by that movie.
Same here.
And it's not because it stars the greatest actors in the world. It's not because it has the most interesting story in the world. It's not because it has the most amazing message in the world. It's because every single scene in that movie is well crafted, well thought out, and it's just great storytelling.
Yes.
And every scene is real sets, real, like, most of it's outdoors.
It is. That's what's the crazy part. It's mostly outdoors. Yeah.
Even the sets that, like, they're in a building or something, it's like an open building. Yeah. So it's like they're still outdoors, know? And so, but every set piece, it doesn't feel like a set piece. You know what I mean? Like today, if you watch like a Fast and the Furious movie or something like that, you're watching a set piece, But that movie doesn't feel like, it never feels like a set piece. It feels like a natural, this is what I thought about the Conan the Barbarian movie. There's no, I have to get this so I can go get that. What do we call that again? It's like it's a video game trope.
Oh, I
but
see.
It's in movies now, side quest stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's like, in order to get to here, to get this, we have to get this, and then in order to get that, we have to get that, and over and over and over again. There's none of that. There's not, and Conan the Barbarian is not like a totally linear story either. But there's no, we have to do this to do that, do that. No, they just go on they're just going on adventures, and things happen naturally. They build naturally.
Yes.
It's just brilliant.
There's a lot of traveling in the movie, and it's just it's a journey, man. We got to talk about it. I have a lot of thoughts about that movie, like a lot.
Me too. I could sit down and make like a whole list about how that might be one of the best movies in the last 40 years. And I'm not joking. It's
a really good movie, man.
People will laugh to hear me say Conan the Barbarian is one of the best movies in the last 40 years. I'm not kidding when I say that. It's really that good.
It's very good. I mean, you get James Earl Jones up in there, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
it kicks the hell out of almost every other sword and sorcery movie I can think
of. True.
I can't think. And it's also a comic book movie.
Yes.
Conan the Barbarian is based on a comic book. So if you pit it up against pretty much any other comic book movie, I'm going to say it kicks the hell out of pretty much any comic book movie.
Pretty good,
almost.
Man.
I mean, it's so good.
Yeah, we're talking about it. You guys are going to get downloaded, Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
I'm going to be nice to Simon, as I usually am. Even though he's talking about these other friends, this nebulous universe of other people who, I don't know. His wife said, I talked to your best friend, my husband, and like, oh, really? It's like, oh, okay. It's like,
oh, man.
No, be nice to me,
joke around here. It's like, Simon has one friend, and it's Darian.
This is pathetic. Okay. Oh, they're like Avis and Julia Child, and they're pen pals, they're podcast pals. Yeah. They never met each other.
Exactly. And if they're smart, they never will.
You keep saying this, like the planet's gonna die if we meet each other.
Yeah, worlds collide.
Burn it down. Well, this was awesome, Simon. I mean, seriously, you're amazing. You're always amazing. You're misunderstood, but I understand you. Okay.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man.
Everyone else thinks you're weird. I think you're amazing. That's about the best I can say.
I told my kids the other day, I said, my parents love me. They just don't like anything I do or say. And so I appreciate that you, Darian, actually like some of the things that I do.
I do, actually. Say. So I knew it immediately,
and the feeling is mutual.
And I don't know if your wife showed this text to you, but I sent her a very long text about my feelings about you.
She did it, and I'm gonna have her copy and paste that to me.
I said, if it wasn't for you, I would have never met Simon. I said, you're actually the reason I know Simon. And I said, you brought us together, and it was magic right from the beginning, man. Yep. It really was. It was awesome from the second I was, I like this guy. Good guy.
Oh yeah,
really good.
Exactly.
Guy. Exactly. It was just like
sparks flew, bells rang.
Flew. It was a rom-com, man. Yep. It was just
such a meet cute.
Exactly. And now look where we're at all these years later.
Yeah.
Want to do a show together?
It's like 3 years now, I think.
Yeah.
We're going on like 3 years of talking to each other. And
Simon, I just can't quit you.
I wish I could quit you.
It's really hard. All right, man. Thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. We got Conan on deck next time, I think. Sounds like that's what we're going to do.
That's got to be what we do.
That's what we're doing next time. All right. Signing out, my friend.
Boom. All right. Talk to you soon.